in 6 minutes starts now.
Fox News Radio, I'm Dave Anthony. NATO is going to hold an emergency meeting after Turkey shot down a Russian warplane. Fox's Jessica Gallagher live in our Middle East Bureau.
Dave, Russia is adamant its aircraft was not in Ankara's airspace when it was shot down by Turkey. Turkey says it warned Moscow 10 times in 5 minutes to get out of its skies, and the Kremlin ignored the warnings. Russia says its pilots were able to eject before the jet crashed. A Syrian rebel group says one of the pilots is dead. This is the first time a NATO member country has shot down a Russian aircraft. Meanwhile, the Pentagon tells Fox News U.S. forces were not involved in the incident. Dave.
Jessica, just ahead of all the Thanksgiving traveling, a worldwide alert from the State Department for Americans. This woman calls it
scary, but I can't live my life in fear. I have to get to where we need to go.
This alert's for international travel, advising people to avoid large crowds and be cautious at holiday festivals or events. France's president goes to the White House this morning, the day after this discovery.
A undetonated suicide vest, similar to the ones that the Paris attackers were used. It was near where the mobile phone of the so-called eighth attacker was traced the night of the ISIS carnage.
Fox's Greg Palcott in Paris. Donald Trump may be in the middle of a new controversy over his claims Muslims in New Jersey cheered on 9/11. But the Republican keeps his lead in a new Iowa poll, but it's close. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Trump's on top, but there's a new number 2 in the Republican race for president in Iowa. Ted Cruz is second to the frontrunner Trump, according to new Quinnipiac University poll of likely caucus goers, which shows Trump with 25% support and Cruz with 23%. Ben Carson slips to third place with 18% support, a big change from a Quinnipiac University survey last month, which showed him in first place in Iowa. Marco Rubio has 13% support. Jeb Bush continues to struggle with only 4% support. Dave.
This is Fox News Radio. Fair and balanced.
This announcement is for all people who want to look their best this holiday season. By calling now, you can whiten your teeth in 5 minutes using clinically proven power swabs. This risk-free holiday challenge is for people whose smile has been yellowed by coffee, tea, red wine, or smoking. The Power Swabs 5-minute challenge is available by responding to this advertisement. If lines are busy, try again. Because the Power Swabs 5-minute challenge is exclusive, it's not available in drugstores. Power Swabs was formulated by Dr. Martin Ginniger and whitens teeth with a patented tooth detergent and whitening agent. It's so effective, we challenge you to try it for 5 minutes and guarantee your friends and family will be amazed when they see your new white smile this holiday. Get it risk-free. Dial 1-800-668-9672. That's 1-800-668-9672. Transform your smile into a wow, you look great smile. Dial 1-800-668-9672. That's 1-800-668-9672.
The White House is trying again to assure the screening process for Syrian refugees is stringent and thorough. Former Secretary of State Madeleine Albright joining Homeland Security officials trying to convince Chris Christie and others to allow 10,000 refugees into the U.S. Some Jersey religious leaders are calling for efforts to resettle the refugees to continue. The Reverend Seth Caper-Dale says his congregation is getting an apartment outfitted for a Syrian family to arrive after Thanksgiving.
I really think the role of the faith community is to continue to just show love and hospitality right now.
He insists the refugees who are allowed to come into the country pose no security threat. As efforts continue, as marijuana in New Jersey, comes word the number of arrests for the possession of even small amounts of weed is on the rise, almost double what they were a decade ago. There were almost 25,000 arrests in 2013. That is the most we have seen in 20 years. Get breaking news, weather, and traffic alerts direct to your cell phone. Start by texting news to 89,000. This is the Town Square News Network.
After a downright cold start in the 20s, we'll warm up a little bit today, making it into the upper 40s this afternoon. Still a bit below normal for this time of year. Some clouds through this morning and sun expected into this afternoon. It won't be as windy as yesterday either, so that's a good thing. Clear and cold tonight as lows fall to either side of the 30-degree mark. Mostly sunny tomorrow. Highs climb into the lower 50s. And we'll make it to about 60 degrees for your Thanksgiving Thursday under a mix of sun and clouds. Black Friday getting a bit breezy and cloudy, but highs into the lower 60s. I'm meteorologist Dan Zarrow.
From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame.
I want to congratulate my friend, Harry Hurley.
You're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 1450.
Hey, thanks very much. Chuck Malamut is here. So the world is perfectly in balance. Things are as they're supposed to be. It is Tuesday morning. It is 8:05, and the 25-year official financial advisor to the Hurley in the Morning program, Chuck Malamut, is here. Chuck leads the Malamut Group at Morgan Stanley's Northfield office. To reach Chuck and his team, you call 609-383-2010. Tell them I sent you. And the following program that you hear every Tuesday, presented by Chuck Malamut, a financial advisor at Morgan Stanley. The information, views, and opinions that you're about to hear expressed on this broadcast are those of Chuck, do not necessarily reflect those of Morgan Stanley or its affiliates. They are current as of the date of today's broadcast, are subject to change without notice. Neither the information provided nor any opinion expressed herein constitutes a solicitation for the purchase or sale of any security. This presentation is for informational purposes only. Morgan Stanley Smith Barney, member SIPC, and a lot to catch up on with the official financial advisor to Hurley in the Morning, Chuck Malamut. Hey, good morning, Chuck.
Good morning, Harry.
How are we doing?
Doing great. How are you doing today?
Very well, thank you. Very well. It's been a good day.
Well, before we get started, I want to wish you, your family, your listeners, happy, healthy, wonderful Thanksgiving as we enter into the holiday season. Hopefully, we can have a holiday season that's full of peace and happiness and not one that is full of ISIS, per se.
Thank you, Chuck. Same to you and everybody in your family. And we got plenty of time for this, but it's also been a great year together. And we want to wish you and Pam and everybody a happy Thanksgiving as well. I do want to mention that I am the most unlucky 8-6 football prognosticator probably in world history. I'll break it down as to why. Three games I lost by 1/2 point. One game I lost by 1.5 points. And then, of course, I lost again by picking the Eagles. So, I mean, you look at my week, I could have been like 13-1, 12-2. Instead, I'm the most unlucky 8-6 in recorded history. I do want to point that out, that I am at least on the winning side of the ledger for 1 week. Chuck Malamut joining me at 8-6. Brother Billy at 7-7 for the week. Hey, I usually get Billy's text before we sign on, but he didn't text me today. Could that be that we were at 8-6? I don't know.
He probably has another commitment right now. I'm sure he's not like that, Harry.
I know. I'm teasing. He's a good man. He always does it. In fact, he'll be here tomorrow. As a matter of fact, we're looking forward to it. We're going to spend the.
That's it. He's getting ready for your show.
Yeah, he's getting ready for his show. We're going to do the 7 o'clock hour tomorrow. So that's going to be great. Then 8 o'clock hour, we have both the Atlantic City High School and the Holy Spirit High School programs the day before the 87th annual Atlantic High Holy Spirit game. And Chuck, thank you for your sponsorship of the game. You've been there every single year. We've been doing it at least 15 years. You've been there since year one. So we thank you for that. And it's going to be a great Thanksgiving for all. And there he is. There he is. He's apologizing that his technology did not have access to it until right now. Bill, your credibility is so good, you don't even have to explain. I know you would have gotten around to saying that Harry is 8-6 and Chuck is 8-6. I know you would have got around to it. I'm not worried. Not worried about that at all. Billy, we look forward to your program tomorrow morning when we talk all about the great things happening at Green Tree Mortgage. Chuck, give us an opener. Janet, I will say this for Janet Yellen. I think she's holding up very well with sort of an onslaught that she is getting. There's been a lot of market saturation level push and push back against her, but I think she's been rock solid, Chuck.
Yeah, I mean, Harry, I think maybe we ought to take a step back first because it was just over a week ago that we had the tragic events in Paris. And as we entered into the Monday after the onslaught, there was a lot of fear with respect to the markets. And lo and behold, the events in Paris were not the only events. There were multiple events during the week. And as a result of all of that, the S&P, the NASDAQ, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average had their best week of the year last year. It is just, I think, Harry, this is, again, solidifying what we have talked about with you for 25 years. And this is not, and what we chat about and will continue to talk about is not timing the market, spending time in the market. Because if you allowed yourself first thing Monday morning, because of all the events that happened over the weekend, if you sold out your positions and went to cash, you missed a move anywhere from say 3 to 4% on those respectable averages.
And the word resilience also comes to mind, Chuck, because the world is on fire. Turkey shoots down a Russian warplane today. One of the pilots, the early reports, because they're always wrong. I remember thinking everything we're hearing now is not going to be true because they're always wrong. They said that both pilots had parachuted down to safety and that they were allegedly, trying to evade capture, by certain rebels. Well, it turns out one of them is killed and one appears to be in rebel hands. You got that going on. An American, I think it was an Apache helicopter, but it was a plane, or I think it was a helicopter, went down. We've lost Americans. We've got France. We've got the extra suicide vests that they found. I mean, they're just, you talk about what you call geopolitical things. What a test in terms of the resilience of the American financial markets, Chuck.
Well, Harry, it's not just the American financial markets.
Yeah, the world.
If you look at the Far East, if you look at Europe in particular, I mean, today is not a great day. We're off somewhat. France is not having a wonderful day. The market down about 1.3% the last time I looked. The other parts over the pond, across the pond, are down about 1%. But you want to get some sort of a back in a fill test, so to speak. When you have movements like we had last week, and I think what happened last week is you talked about Janet Yellen. When the October minutes were released, they were greeted with a lot of fanfare by the market. And it's just simply amazing, Harry, that if you think back to where we were in August and the set of circumstances that we had that led us into September, everyone was very, very fearful of a potential rate hike.
Yep.
And the markets, in fact, derailed for a number of reasons. One, China. Two, our currency, and three, obviously, the Fed movement. So the Fed, backs off, elects not to make a movement, and now all of a sudden, we're 3 months down the road, so to speak, and the market is looking forward to this first rate hike, and it's Harry, in all probability, it's now about a 90% chance of the rate hike happening in December.
How about that? Let me ask you, and look, I'm not looking forward to a higher rate environment, but it's inevitable because it's been about a decade, and that's unprecedented. So it's got to happen. But within the specter of still having nice, attractive type of rates, just you can't be at zero or near zero for forever. I saw something, Chuck, that immediately made me think that this is something that I should bring up to you, and that is that global debt markets are right now 99 global companies have defaulted since the year began. That's the biggest number ever, or at least in a decade or more, since 2009 when several hundred defaulted, during the height of the Great Recession. This is all Standard & Poor's documentation. We account, the United States of America, we account for 62 of the 99 global companies that have defaulted. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, Harry, I did not see the article, so I'd be interested to read it. And then getting into the article,
Financial Times, by the way, Financial Times. When you get a chance, I'll send it to you.
Thank you. I would be curious how many of those 99 companies were either energy / oil related, because as that sector, the S&P 500, and globally speaking, has fared very, very poorly this year. The other thing I'd want to take a look at with those companies that you have indicated is how many of those companies were, in fact, commodity-driven companies. Because Harry, I think it was just yesterday that commodities hit, a 14-year low. So if you I know we've talked about earnings and carving out energy companies and what earnings would have been on a percentage increase versus the prior years, but I would be curious looking at those 99 companies, the breakout of those.
Well, I know this much. I don't have the exact number in front of me, and I'm going to skim through this during the next break to see if they actually break it down, but I can tell you that they do confirm that as we near the century market globally in terms of debt markets, and it's an unwelcome development, obviously, and the number of companies that are defaulting, and that over 60% of them, 62% to be exact, are American companies. It says largely driven by the struggling U.S. shale gas providers. So it's exactly what you said.
Okay, well, then send me the article, and I would certainly be looking forward to reading it.
Yep, will do. What else you got? We have about 2 minutes before the first break. Anything else you want to share? And then we'll continue.
Harry, I don't know. I don't know if we'll have some time to chat about this, but if you go look, and we chatted a few minutes ago about lower energy prices, and historically speaking, every time we've had lower prices, and this goes back to, think about it, 1981, 1982, 1986. 2008, 2011, all of those years we had declining energy prices, and that did, in fact, help gross domestic GDP. Payrolls increased, capital expenditures increased, manufacturing and industrial production also increased. So all indications are that these prices are going to stay low for quite some time, certainly through most of 2016, it looks like. So I think that's going to bode well for our economy.
For those who don't know why, Chuck, because it's easy to get used to and to enjoy something, why can't rates stay at or zero forever?
Well, Harry, it's like turning a kid loose in a candy store. And the markets for a number of years had what I'll call it, it had that free money and that sugar high, so to speak. And, reality is going to set in. We have had unprecedented low interest rates for a significant period of time. And it has helped the economy, but you have to go back and look at what the Fed does. And the driver of rates, is the economy. The driver of rates is inflation. The driver of rates is disinflation. So, you have a number of factors that will drive rates. And, the reality is we should probably be 200 basis points or 2% higher from where we are right now. But we just can't seem to, get started. And I'm thinking that come December is going to be the beginning. The increases will be very, very measured. The Fed will take their time. Janet Yellen, as you chatted about a few minutes ago, will be very, very cautious. I think she's probably actually more cautious than prior Fed chair people that we've had. And I think those measured movements on an upward basis or upward bias will be helpful to the markets.
A lot more with Chuck Malamut straight ahead, 19 minutes past the hour. You're listening to The Official, the exclusive financial advisor to me, to the Hurley in the Morning program, hopefully to you as well. You can reach Chuck and his team. Chuck leads his group, the Malamut Group, at Morgan Stanley's Northfield office, 609-383-2010. Make a phone call to Chuck. Sit down with Chuck, and you'll be very impressed at the time he spends with you, and he'll introduce his concept of total asset management coupled with the all-important asset allocation. Chuck Malamut, the Malamut Group at Morgan Stanley's Northfield office, 609-383-2010. 2010. We have a lot more with Chuck. Consumer spending we're going to talk about. We have talked about the Fed a bit. If Chuck thinks there's any more there, we can come back to that. The Paris terrorist attacks have come up because it's hard to not bring that up front, the global economy, and more with M&A, and a whole lot more with Chuck Malamut coming up next. It's Hurley in the Morning, WPG Talk Radio 1450. We are South Jersey's talk station. We're on WPG Talk Radio 1450 AM radio, and we're now on FM as well at 104.9 FM HD2. We'll be back. And here's a big thank you to all those who have made it possible for, I believe, a decade and a half. I think this is our 15th consecutive, and it's the 87th meeting of Atlantic City High School versus Holy Spirit High School this year at Atlantic City High School at Dr. Jack Eisenstein Stadium, the athletic complex there, named after the former late great superintendent. And this is, I think, a competitive year with both teams. I think on paper, this could be one of the closest games that we've seen in a number of years. I kind of think the edge goes to Holy Spirit. Atlantic City has sort of had an unlucky season in addition to anything else. But they're well coached, and they always come to play, and this is like a playoff game. It's a big rivalry game. We'll begin our coverage in the 8 o'clock hour with a replay of tomorrow's 8 o'clock hour with Chris Ford, the athletic director of Atlantic City High School, Frank Campo, the legend, the longtime former athletic director, A.J. Russo, assistant athletic director, head football coach from Holy Spirit High School, and we'll replay tomorrow's 8 o'clock hour Thursday morning at 8, and then we'll go into our live pregame show right at 9 with Mike Gill, Lou Paludi, and then right to the game coverage as well. And these are the great folks that made it possible.
This is Harry Hurley. Please join me, 97.3 ESPN's Mike Gill and the legendary coach Lou Paludi for our live Thanksgiving Day special event, the 87th annual meeting of Atlantic City High School versus Holy Spirit High School, this year at historic John Boyd Stadium in Atlantic City. Our live WPG Talk Radio 1450 coverage will also be available at WPG1450.com in high HD quality video and audio by Matt Ulmer. Our presenting banner sponsors are Senator Jeff Andrew and Assemblyman Bob Andrzak, along with the Shore Medical Center, Chuck Malamut, Assemblyman Chris Brown, Stockton University, Nancy and Kirk Conover's The Shore Agency, the D'Amato Law Firm, Atlantic City Electric, Charles and Anne-Marie Kane, the Auto Plaza at English Creek, the City of Atlantic City, Atlantic County Executive Dennis Levinson, Vince Palestina and Associates, Margate City Commissioner John Amadeo, and Super Fred Nichols. We'll see you Thanksgiving morning beginning at 8 right here on WPG Talk Radio 1450 and WPG1450.com.
Listen to WPG Talk Radio 1450 with Radio Pup, our free app that puts all your favorite talk shows right at your fingertips. Powered by Autolenders.com. Stay connected with the latest South Jersey news and weather information right from your iPhone or Droid. Radio Pup, powered by Autolenders.com. There's never been a better time to check out all of the low-mileage, one-owner certified cars at Autolenders. See their full selection at Autolenders.com or any of their 6 New Jersey locations.
This is John Greenhut, and if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, Power Swabs is the answer. In 5 minutes, you'll see 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. Even better, there's no messy strips or trays that you'll have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes, and you're done. To try Power Swabs, call 1-800-679-0969. Your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free. 1-800-679-0969. That's 1-800-679-0969.
Back to Chuck in just a moment. Just a quick reminder, if you're making your way to Broadcast Center, we're at 950 Tilton Road in Northfield, and you're one of the families that signed up for the Feed a Family program this Thanksgiving season. It's a real privilege. All of the team members here at Town Square Media, Atlantic City, all 5 radio stations that really worked extraordinarily well with their great listeners and advertisers to raise more than $24,000. Chuck Malamut every year has been a big part of that. He stepped up again this year. If you think about it, all the things that we do, whether it's the air show, Hurley in the Morning in general, the Hurley in the Morning charity, the Atlantic City Holy Spirit game, Chuck Malamut he's never not been there. He's always been there for us. And we can't thank Chuck properly enough. But those picking up the meals today, just a couple of quick little just items to make sure that you don't have any type of inconvenience at all, because we want this to be effortless, dignified. You get in, you get your meal, and you get out, and it's a beautiful atmosphere. I remember last year, Noah, who said again the other day, Noah wants to come again and give out some of the dinners. So we'll see what happens a little later today before we come back to do the Ask the Mayor program and the Ask the Senator program tonight. So we're doing triple duty today, 4 hours and 6 minutes of Hurley in the Morning, 1 hour of Ask the Mayor, 1 hour of Ask the Senator, and then I go home to eat, and then I go to bed and I wake up and we come back and do it again. So it's a crazy week. But the folks making your way to pick up your meals, bring ID, please, because we need to make sure that it's you. And the person whose name is on the registration for the meal must be the one who picks it up. And it's one per family. We're going to feed more than 800 families today before the end of the day. How about that, Chuck?
Harry, awesome effort by you and your station, Mike Rubel, Chris Coleman. It's fabulous. I remember last year coming to do the show. Very, very well organized. Parking lot was set. People came in, picked up their meals, and left. And it was my hat's off to you guys. It's the economy here locally, as we all know, has been rather challenging. Needless to say, you hear about rising home prices throughout the country. Unfortunately, that is not the same from where we are right now. So I think it's great, Harry, that we're able to assist so many people that either lost their jobs or underemployed or whatever it may be. And, hopefully they can have a good holiday.
And thanks for stepping up, Chuck. Really do appreciate it. Hey, Chuck, let's get into consumer spending. What do you have to say about that?
Well, Harry, I think interestingly enough, I caught this morning that Tiffany reported, and they missed their number, if I saw that headline correctly. So you've had a number of the big retailers, Nordstrom, Macy's, the traditional brick and mortar, and a lot of it is dependent upon, foreigners coming to our country to spend their money in these stores, and unfortunately, that just did not happen in the last quarter. Conversely, on the other side, companies like a Ross Stores, your lower end per se, have had pretty good results, and even a company like Foot Locker, I read, had a great quarter. So, the consumer is not dead by any way, shape, or form, but I think it's a matter of shifting. We have chatted, I don't know, Harry, for how many years about online access and spending, and you just mentioned a few minutes ago about your latest sponsor, the pillow manufacturer, and you had a good event, so to speak, in buying online. So a lot of the bricks and mortar, as we know it, it continues to shift. The consumer continues to spend in restaurants per se, but it's not necessarily the high-end restaurants as well. So I think you're seeing that shift. Consumer discretionary, Harry, this year was one of the better performing sectors within the S&P 500. Actually, what it is year to date, it is the number one sector within the S&P 500. So the market is saying that the consumer will continue to spend.
Chuck, for a while, and this was years ago, the online spending was not as precisely tracked the way that it is now. So we have a way now to measure true consumer spending, whether they're doing it bricks and mortar or whether they're doing it online, correct?
That's correct. I mean, Harry, if you take a look at any of your traditional retailers, they obviously all have some sort of online presence. And it's a matter of being able, those dollars are shifting from a lot of the traditional bricks and mortar, to the online. So you're going to get a pretty good indication, I think, as you get into this week, at the end of this weekend, as to how strong the consumer is and where the consumer is, in fact, spending their dollars.
Chuck, think about this during the halftime break, and then we're going to come back. I want to ask you to spend a couple of minutes on the fact that we have only 37 days left in 2015, which is hard to believe. This year has really flown by. So, I mean, some things could change. There could be some remarkable things that could happen either way, but I think it's pretty well baked in that this year is what this year is at this point, after all, down to basically a little over a month in the year. What do you think is the story, the financial story of 2015? When we come back, much more, that and much more with Chuck Malamut, the official financial advisor to the Hurley in the Morning program for all of your financial planning needs. And when I say all of your financial planning needs, Chuck will sit down with you and to whatever degree you want, at the most finite level, or maybe you're just looking to do something strategic in one area, Chuck will sit down with you and talk about everything from building for college for your children to vacation planning, retirement planning. And when you look, and we've been doing it so much with Chuck and with Joe McDermott and with Bill Malamut, when you look at these actuarials now and all of these cohort survival grid things, where I'm looking at crazy numbers where they're going well into the 90s now. Sitting down and planning for retirement is a whole lot different when the average life expectancy for a female is like 83 or 84 years old, and for a male it is over 82 or 81 years old. That is a far cry different. Even if you think about it, in the time that Chuck has been doing what he has been doing now for the past 3 decades, you weren't talking about retirement planning may have been from age 65 to age 75. Now you're talking about maybe retiring at age 50 if you're in a pension plan, or age 60 or 65, and perhaps living 2 to 3 more decades. Chuck, I think that's something that is important to talk about, because we see that when people have not properly invested, they wind up having to go back to work at age 75 or 80, something they never planned to even consider. So take care of it now so that it is there for you later. More with Chuck right after this. Don't go away. For more than 20 years, the D'Amato Law Firm has served as the official lead counsel to the Hurley in the Morning program. Led by certified civil trial attorney Paul D'Amato, the D'Amato Law Firm focuses their practice in representing those who have been seriously injured in construction, products liability, and motor vehicle collisions. The D'Amato Law Firm expertly handles cases throughout the country, but their primary focus is on representing victims injured right here at home in southern New Jersey. They've earned a reputation for excellence. From direct personal experience, I can readily confirm that the D'Amato Law Firm's overall competence, attention to detail, follow-up systems are outstanding, and they truly shine during your moment of truth before judge and jury. The D'Amato Law Firm is centrally located in Atlantic County at 2900 Fire Road, Suite 200. That's the second floor in Egg Harbor Township, New Jersey. That's the corner of Fire Road and the Black Horse Pike. For all of your personal injury legal needs, turn with confidence to the region's leader in the field of personal injury. They're the D'Amato Law Firm. Call 609-926-3300. That's 609-926-3300. And please tell the D'Amato Law Firm that Hurley in the Morning sent you.
The State Department is warning Americans need to be alert for possible travel risks, especially during the holidays following increased threats from militant groups around the world. A bizarre fight in South Jersey over money. 41-year-old Jason Brad had done some work for a computer store in Gloucester Township. When he went in to collect his money, he argued with another guy. That was Lloyd Napier, over how much he was owed. At one point, Brad hit Napier in the head with a hammer, doused him in lighter fluid, and threatened to light him on fire. That's when police arrived. Napier will be okay. Brad never got his money, and he remains in jail. Are you planning on heading to the mall on Thanksgiving? Many Jersey shoppers say thanks, but no thanks.
To me, Thanksgiving Day is a set-aside day to just kind of hang out and be with family, not necessarily be out shopping.
I'm spending Thanksgiving with my family. I think that's where families belong.
Another shopper said she might do a bit of online shopping if her boyfriend is watching football. Did you know retailers have a secret code that if you crack it, it'll tell you prices are going to go lower? We've cracked that code, and check out the story on our website. Get breaking news, weather, and traffic alerts on your cell phone. Text news to 89,000. This is the Town Square News Network.
You look so relaxed. What's your secret? Did you just come from the spa?
No, but I did relieve some stress.
Yoga?
No, I switched banks. I opened an account at Ocean City Home Bank.
That's why you look so great?
Must be. I've got free checking and really convenient online banking. It's so simple, and it makes my life so much easier.
But you can't do everything online. You still need to wait in the lobby to deposit a check or ask a question, right?
Ocean City Home Bank's service is so great, I really don't mind going into one of their branches. The employees are friendly, but they're also quick. Even the switch from my old bank was easy. Ocean City Home Bank helped me take care of everything. It was completely painless.
That's it. I'm canceling my massage and switching to Ocean City Home Bank.
Visit one of our branches or call us at 927-7722. We'll begin your simple switch to simple banking, and we'll show you why Ocean City Home Bank is the bank people trust. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
We're back. It's 35 minutes past the hour. Chuck Malamut, yours truly, Hurley in the Morning. This is our weekly program that we've been doing with Chuck every single Tuesday, and in the 8 o'clock hour for 25 consecutive years. Longest advertiser in the history of the program, because he is literally he was actually an advertiser before the program existed. The very first client signed up. Chuck Malamut, the Malamut Group at Morgan Stanley's Northfield office, 609-383-2010. That's 609-383-2010. Chuck, I'm not just saying this because I brought them up, but I really thought that two really good questions, which give you an opportunity to show your chops, that give you an opportunity to really talk to your listeners about the importance of proper financial planning. And in the order that I gave them, let's tackle these one by one. The first one was, with 37 days left in the year, Chuck, what is the storyline of 2015, the financial storyline?
Well, Harry, you know that I don't want to say now because I think it might be a little too early, but all the indications that we were given at the beginning of the year with respect to potential market performance will probably not be achieved this year. I mean, if you look at the S&P 500 year to date, it's up about almost 3.5%. Indications that we gave were the high single digit, low double digits, figuring somewhere in the 8 to 10% range. So unless we have a remarkable Santa Claus rally, I think we might fall a little bit short. But when you think about this, Harry, for a minute, and we run a retirement analysis, which kind of will fold right into your second thought, equities on average return, let's say 7 to 8%, depending upon what type of equity. But equities will never, ever return 7 to 8% every year. So you take a year like 2015, which I guess for lack of better words, we can say was maybe a throwaway year, and that will create hopefully a piece for the equity markets higher in 2016.
Now, Chuck, in terms of life expectancy, higher than ever, and it seems like each year America hits a new record high. So you're looking at basically beyond 80 years just on the average. I mean, 30 years ago, we were at basically, I think it was 70, maybe 72 or something like that. So if you add an additional 10 years, but you're still planning your retirement like it was 30 years ago, that is a recipe for disaster, isn't it?
Yeah, Harry, interesting point. One of the reasons that we decided to make the move that we did, actually was 15 months ago, was because of the retirement planning tool that we have available for us at Morgan Stanley. and there's one tool it's referred to as Life View. It's a very, very thorough analysis that focuses around retirement planning. And when we are entering that information with either our clients or our prospective clients to develop their plan, right now the average woman lives to age 93 in the analysis, and the average male lives to age 91.
Isn't that amazing? Now, for people listening, that's because they're adding the fact that it's not 93 yet, but by the time you would get to that, that's the trajectory, the trend that we're on is for that. I mean, to think about that you would be planning for that. I mean, nobody used to plan to be an octogenarian. Now you're planning on 90 and beyond. It's pretty amazing, Chuck, but it also leaves people very vulnerable if they have not planned properly.
Well, Harry, if you kind of take a step back, when we started, many, many years ago, running the same type of analysis but not as thorough, the average male lived to age 83, and the average female lived to roughly age 85. So you think about your point, very well taken, is the fact that if you live another 10 years and your income sources are Social Security, maybe an old DB pension plan, maybe you have a DC 401k plan, 10 years is a lot of spend that you have to consider.
No question. No question about it. So you have to plan now for then. And that's where the asset allocation and being in it for the long term is very, very important, because if you're not planning for it now, it's not going to happen by magic later. And Chuck, I mentioned some of the things that you can do, whether it be retirement planning, college building. That's another big deal. You could start that right when you know you're having a child. You could start that right up with Chuck, and then he can tell you basically you have programs to basically show what you think, in terms of expected increases and things like that, in terms of today's dollars versus 18 years from now. You can show people how much they need to invest each month in order to then have that covered, so then you're not taking out six figures in Parent Plus loans or student loans.
No, Harry, look, we've had numerous discussions about educational funding and the fact, that the average college tuition increases anywhere from 3 to 5% a year, for which I can't quite understand why that happens, because every time I ask, it kind of falls on deaf ears. But
said a man who's writing multiple checks every month.
Well, but that, I mean, we actually did a calculation as to the cost per hour, but that's not important. I think what's really important is that the amount of outstanding indebtedness will just continue to increase on a year-by-year basis. And when those students graduate, they basically have a mortgage they have to pay off. And it doesn't seem quite fair. But, what can the consumer do about it?
Well, plan for it, because if you invest with you, Chuck, you can cover that. I mean, I'm not sure you know the numbers, but it is very manageable for almost all people listening, that if you start the college building investing at the time that your child is a day old or a year old, as opposed to, our child is graduating from high school, we better sign up for the FAFSA and go to, Sallie Mae or direct loans or whoever you go to these days, and then plan it that way. Then, of course, you're paying that off for the rest of your life.
Harry, very simply put, it's forming good habits and instilling the proper disciplines financially early on, and that could be for a young couple that just getting married. It could be for an older couple that is, having a second marriage, perhaps. But what's extremely important is that you pay yourself first. And not that we don't want to go out and be good consumers, because consumers are very, very important to the economy. But you really need to take a step back and understand what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Chuck, I know we're just about running out of time for your program for this week, and we didn't have a chance to let everybody know about mergers and acquisitions. What's happening in that area?
Well, Harry, interestingly enough, the deal was finally consummated yesterday with Allergan and Pfizer, which is the largest merger to date, I believe, in excess of $150 billion, if I read it correctly. And there will be significant savings. What's really important here is the fact that the tax inversion, so to speak, where they're looking to get domiciled outside the U.S. in Ireland and ultimately have a reduction of the tax rate.
Chuck, before we absolutely run out of time, which we are at the closing moment of the program now, I want to again wish you and your family a very, very blessed, happy Thanksgiving. Thank you for your support of the operation, second year in a row of Feed a Family here at Town Square Media Atlantic City. We thank you for your financial support. I thank you for your contribution as a direct advertiser of Thursday's 87th Annual Atlantic High Holy Spirit Game, and just for your partnership and friendship in general, Chuck.
Harry, thanks. Same to you, Margie, the family, your listeners. Have a wonderful, safe, happy holidays, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, man. Hold on. I'll say goodbye to you off the air. We're going to step aside. When we come back, I'm going to give you the very latest of Vladimir Putin, just to show you the difference as we shift gears from Chuck to international and national issues. I'm going to show you the difference between a strong commander-in-chief response and what we've been dealing with. You have been listening to Chuck Malamut. We've been doing this program for 25 years. Chuck presents this. He's a financial advisor at Morgan Stanley. The views, informations, opinions that you've heard this hour with Chuck are those of Chuck Malamut, do not necessarily reflect those of Morgan Stanley or its affiliates. They are current as of the date of this broadcast, are subject to change without notice. Neither the information provided nor any opinion you've heard herein constitutes a solicitation for the purchase or sale of any security. This presentation weekly is for informational purposes only. Morgan Stanley Smith Barney, member SIPC. A whole lot more to go straight ahead. Dr. Bob Zlotnick in the 9 o'clock hour. And if you want to jump in right now, we can take at least 2 calls at 609-407-1450. Just give me 2 minutes when we come back, because I'm going to share with you that Putin has said it. There's going to be serious consequences for what's taken place. He said Russia has been stabbed in the back with the shooting down of one of their jets. And as video is now emerging, I've watched it actually, of rebels chanting Allah Akbar over the body of the dead Russian pilot. The Turkish army shot down a Russian Sukhoi warplane near the Syrian border. And I'm going to tell you something. There's going to be some noise over this. You watch. We'll be back in just a moment. 609-407-1450 if you want to jump in. Early in the Morning continues on the station that plays the winners. WPG. Talk Radio 1450, South Jersey's talk station. I have to give a big shout out. I just found out that we've got a daily listener of the program that I didn't know. I didn't know this legend listened to this program each and every day. How lucky am I? I'm going to send a shout out to a true local legendary figure to protect the innocent. I'll simply say good morning, Max, and I was so honored to know that you're out there each and every day. I hope you're hearing this shout out. A legend, and that is not used often on this program.
WPG Talk Radio 1450 presents Ask the Mayor with Atlantic City Mayor Don Guardian.
I know that one of the ideas is they may consider putting the observation wheel directly on the steel pier, but that's a project that they're looking to have opened for summer.
Join us Tuesday evening, November 24th at 5 to talk to Mayor Don Guardian. Ask the Mayor, brought to you by the New Jersey Casino Reinvestment Development Authority from WPG Talk Radio 1450, South Jersey's talk station.
Health Update with Robin Stoloff is brought to you by Atlantic Care. Healthcare you can believe in.
It's open enrollment for health insurance, and if you want to make any changes, you should probably do it by December 15th. Here to tell us more is Mike Sheeran of Glenn Insurance. What do people need to look for, Mike?
The first step would be to look at your own individual needs to see which doctors you use and which services are probably more important to you. The next step would be to go to healthcare.gov to see if you're eligible for a premium subsidy, which is an advanced tax credit. And the last step would be to contact your local agent, which will be able to walk you through the whole process. So based on the first two steps, they can really narrow down and pick the exact plan for you and help you out in the process.
And the good news is there's no additional cost for using an agency?
Exactly. It's the exact same price no matter where you go, so you might as well get the local help that you can.
Thanks so much, Mike Sheeran of Glenn Insurance. I'm Robin Stoloff for Health Update.
Health Update with Robin Stoloff is brought to you by Atlantic Care. Healthcare you can believe in.
Hi, I'm Ron Rossi with Rossi Honda in Vineland, and it's that time of year. Happy Honda Days are back at Rossi Honda. And to celebrate this once-a-year event, all 2015 and 2016 Civics, Accords, and CR-Vs are specially marked with holiday pricing. With leasing starting as low as $189 per month with zero down for a new Honda Civic LX. That's right, $189 with zero down. Keep your money for that special gift for the holidays.
Tax, tag, stock fees extra, 39-month lease, 12,000 miles per year to qualified buyers. See dealer for details.
And don't forget, the oil changes are free up to 3 years with a lease. So come on in to Rossi Honda for the best selection during our Happy Honda Days. Now at Rossi Honda. It's easier than ever for you to afford a new Honda. At Rossi Honda, we treat you better, period, on Delsey Drive in Vineland.
And this portion of Early in the Morning brought to us by Congress Hall, my favorite hotel in Cape May County. On the beach, Beach Avenue, Congress Boulevard to be exact, but that's because you need that for GPS. But it is literally right on Beach Avenue, an unobstructed view of the Atlantic Ocean and the beautiful beach. It is a wonderful time of year. I promise you, we always go. In fact, we've already signed up. I don't think if you've signed up by now, you can even get in to either the Breakfast with Santa or the Brunch with Santa. A lot of times we go to the Breakfast with Santa. This year, first time, I think, we're going to the Brunch with Santa Claus. It is amazing. One of the things I know that Noah is looking forward to, they have a special sundae bar where you can make your own ice cream sundae and things. Oh, it's just going to be so much fun. And then you get to sit with Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus by the tree reading, hot chocolate, and the train ride around the great lawn of Congress Hall. They have beautiful retail stores that they set up outside by the pool. There's usually a wonderful fire feature that's floating in the pool itself. Really a lot of attention to detail. And you're going to love Congress Hall at this time of year. I promise you. There are so many neat things in Cool Cape May. CongressHall.com. Congress Hall in 2016 will turn 200 years young. That's extraordinary. I don't know. Maybe you've heard of some places in Boston and a few other places that have been open longer than that. But how many places do you know that have been open for 200 years? It's extraordinary. Truly, truly extraordinary. All right, let me give you the update. We're going to run out of time here quick. And then I have a few other items that we didn't get to in our 6 o'clock monologue because we wound up taking phone calls for most of the hour. But there's some interesting things that I picked up on since we were last together, and that's usually what we do in the 6 o'clock hour. We don't repetitively do the same thing over and over and over again like some one-note Johnnies. We literally pave new ground each and every day on the program. There's too much that's happening to get stuck on, the same thing again and again and again and every day. and tell a friend in that 6 o'clock hour, we bring it in terms of the national issues. Vladimir Putin, he didn't wait. He didn't apologize for Russia. He didn't wait to wait some more and to make some phony red line and pronouncement and do nothing. He immediately said, bam, there's going to be serious consequences for, quote, stabbing Russia in the back, the shooting down of one of their jets, and you watch what's going to happen. You watch what's going to happen to this so-called Turkish army. They're going to get crushed. You watch. I have no doubt about it. Here's something. It was very, very sad to see the New York Daily News headline today, and it has a picture of the American president, and it says something like, I don't have it in front of me, but I saw it a few hours ago. It says the new American strategy is be afraid. And, it's just so – it is so pathetic to watch as other leaders around the world. You know it's scary when the French president is stronger than the American president. You know that's as sick as it gets. But let me get one item in before we get another call on. And you can jump in as well at 609-407-1450. The State Department is warning Americans, quote, of the likelihood of terror attacks. So there is a serious travel warning that's in effect. They're basically warning and discouraging, actually, the American people from traveling abroad. I mean, I don't know about you. I would have no desire. And you think about it, it's a shame, but French tourism is down over 50%. Can you blame? You're going to see there's going to be incredible deals coming up to travel to France. You will see. Because it's just human nature. You're going, hey, we're going to France tomorrow for vacation. The next week after a massive successful terrorist attack on Friday the 13th. 609-407-1450, an open phone line. Welcome to Hurley in the Morning. You're on the air.
Harry.
Yes.
The Turks are just as much to blame as ISIS. They've been buying the oil from ISIS.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt about it. Hey, look, they're the ones dancing Allah Akbar all over the dead Russian pilot.
Yeah, well, isn't there? I heard rebels. I don't know what rebels have another pilot alive.
They do. Yeah, that is correct. It's Syrian rebels that have the surviving Russian pilot. The Turks, I don't know if they killed him after he, parachuted out of the plane that was shot down, or if he died during the, the descent down. That's a little unclear. But there's no mistaking, because I've watched the video, Eric, of these rebels chanting Allah Akbar as they dance over the body of the dead pilot. And you're going to see the Turkish army is going to get crushed by Putin and Russia.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
That's right.
Good. I hope so. Hey, Harry, the rebels, but who are the good rebels? We don't even know who these rebels are. If they behead that pilot, let me tell you something. All hell's going to break loose.
Well, and that's the problem. We don't know who are the good guys. We think we know who are the bad guys, but some of the guys that we've actually armed are not good guys.
No. Thanks, Obama. Thanks.
Yeah, it's
all right, brother.
And look,
Later.
Eric, before you go, let me just impress this upon you. Look at who is standing up right now: Cameron, Holland, and look at who's not standing up.
Yeah, us, of course.
Yeah.
We better get our planes. We got planes, Harry. We got planes in Turkey bases, I think, right now. We better get out of there.
Well, yeah. I mean, everything right now is upside down, inside out, backwards. It is just bizarro world and getting worse. This is the reality when you have a vacuum. This is where ISIS came. There was a couple of hundred, and they were literally the JV. There were a couple of hundred, but we created a vacuum because the American president is afraid to lead and only will lead from behind. So what happens? That vacuum gets filled. How did Putin emerge as basically, every poll that comes out worldwide, Putin is now recognized as the leader of the world.
He's still obsessed. Our leader is still obsessed with getting rid of Assad than he is getting rid of ISIS.
Right, and on this occasion, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, because ISIS, the one thing we have in common, Assad, Putin, and us, we all want ISIS crushed, or at least Most of us in America. I don't think our president does. Our president wants them contained. Somehow, maybe if we have a jobs fair, they'll stop cutting heads off and crucifying and brutalizing people to death, because it's all about they really want a job, Eric. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That was one of our strategies. I'm not making that up, Eric. One of our strategies was a job fair.
Harry, they blame George Bush for getting rid of Saddam, and this guy has got rid of Mubarak, Gaddafi, and he wants Assad, and he just gets rid of these people and then leaves the place alone. Like not all turmoil isn't going to break loose there.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Music says we got to go, my friend.
Later, brother.
Yep, you were ready to go a moment ago. Now we got to go. We're going to take the third quarter break, feathering right into the fourth and final quarter. Dr. Bob Zlotnick is here. The program is presented twice monthly by Atlantic Prevention Resources. The president and the chief executive officer, Dr. Bob Zlotnick, and a distinguished guest will be unveiled in just a few minutes. We're approaching the 9 o'clock hour. You're listening to Hurley in the Morning. Don't forget, more than 800 families will be fed today because of your extraordinary generosity to Town Square Media, Atlantic City. And just bring your ID when you pick up the meals, please.
WPGG Atlantic City, WSJO HD2 and 3, Egg Harbor City. Everything you need to know in 6 minutes starts now.
Fox News Radio, I'm Dave Anthony. It's a stab in the back. That's what Russia's president says after Turkey shot down one of his warplanes. Fox's Jessica Gallagher live in our Middle East Bureau.
Dave, Russian President Vladimir Putin is hitting back, saying Turkey's act is a move by the terrorist accomplices, adding that the aircraft was shot down by a missile from a Turkish jet about a half a mile from Turkey's border with Syria. Meanwhile, a senior U.S.